Hey, what's up, guys? This is Ryan with Fearless Fantasy. Me and my buddy Joey are going to be creating a quick video for six undervalued players for Fantasy Football 2023. This is going to be based on their underdog ADPs currently. If you haven't heard of the website Underdog, it's a place where you can do best ball drafts throughout the beginning of the season. So they're actual drafts, actual live people drafting for actual leagues for the 2023 season. It's not mock drafts, it's not random rankings on Yahoo, Sleeper, or ESPN. So they're the most accurate, in my opinion, of where people are going to go this year. And so these are the rankings we're going to be basing this off, and let's get right into it.
And for my first undervalued pick is the Seattle Seahawks QB Geno Smith. Everyone doubted Seattle going into season last year, obviously with the trade of Russell Wilson to Denver, receiving Drew Lock in return. No one knows where the Seahawks are going, right? Well, Geno salvaged that year. He finished ninth overall in average fantasy points amongst his colleagues. He finished fifth in total points scored on the year behind the likes of guys we all love: Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, Mr. Joseph Burrow. Um, so with me, I want to talk about the reasons why he maybe lowered in ADP. He's sacked the fifth most last year behind Kirk Cousins, I think, who led. Last four games of the year were very subpar. Everyone seems to think the Seattle Seahawks are just going to keep running. Well, last year with Mr. Ken Walker, they ranked 22nd amongst the league in rushing attempts per game on the bad end of things. And a lot of reason why they probably had doubt is because he's been in the league for 9, 10 years. He might get replaced if a new young stud comes up and they're looking to replace old guys. He might be on the docket. But with the season he just had, adding mixtures of JSN to a receiver core like Metcalf and Lockett, this team will be passing the football. I would draft Geno outside the top 10 guys over the likes of like Dak Prescott, Danny Dimes. Both their teams respectively ran sixth most in the league for the Cowboys and eighth most in the league for the Giants. These guys are going to run the ball. They have Saquon and Pollard. I want the guy that's going to be throwing the ball deep to one of these three receivers. So I tremendously think that Geno could move up about four spots, and that's why I think he's undervalued.
Okay, so our first undervalued player for Fantasy Football 2023 is going to be Cam Akers. This might not be a popular one. Honestly, it isn't really a popular one for me. I didn't want to have anything to do with him last year, but just looking at what he did towards the end of the year last year and kind of his value going into the season of where he's going, I can't help but be drawn towards him. His ADP currently on Underdog is the 24th ranked running back. When you look at the final 6 weeks of the season last year, he was number four running back in all of fantasy in points per game, playing 75% of the snaps, which is a true bell cow running back. He's the only 23. He's another year removed from the Achilles injury. I know we don't have a great history of Achilles injury, but he really did look good last year. And if he's going to get 75% of the touches, he's going to be at worst a solid RB2 if he stays healthy. Another thing, the Rams offense, they may not be great this year, but they should still put up points. They have McVay as the offensive genius, and Stafford, when he's healthy, is a great QB, and Kupp is one of the best wide receivers in the game. Kind of comparison of last year when everyone thought Seattle was going to be bad, including myself, their offense. Um, I think the Rams have the ability to be a better offense than we all think they're going to be. If anyone has a chance to be this year's Josh Jacobs, that league winner in that fourth, fifth round for your team, I really think Cam Akers is the one running back that can be that guy. Also, a team comparison with him and Jacobs. Adams and Jacobs last year, they had a serviceable QB in Carr that can move the offense. Really reminds me of what's going into the season for the Rams with Akers and Kupp, and another serviceable QB in Stafford who's actually better than Carr when he's healthy, in my opinion. Some guys going around Akers that I would take Akers over is Pacheco, Swift, White, Pierce, Gabe Davis, Pickens, Tony, Addison, and Dotson. So those are a lot of guys going right around or ahead of him that I would take him over. So there's about 10 or so spots of ADP value based on where he's going in underdog.
All right, for my second undervalued player, I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Rashad White. I wouldn't per se say he's undervalued. I'd say at his current ADP, I like a couple. I like him over a couple other guys. I think at his current ADP, he has extreme value already where he's at. I know nobody wants to hear me talking about Rashad White and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but personally for me, I like to attack volume and the possibility of. Last year, when we look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers situation, they had Leonard Fournette. Rashad White saw a lot of the 2 minute drills. So when they're playing the hurry up 2 minute offense, a score before halftime, Rashad White's out there. He's running routes, he's catching the ball. I mean, granted, Lenny did get a lot of that playing time. So the numbers don't really reflect where I'm going. But on a team that ran the ball the least amount of times amongst the league, that now officially has a new offensive coordinator, I feel like these are some things that the new OC is going to have to tackle. With a talent like Rashad White, and no other backs on the depth chart that are probably going to compete for a spot. They got Keyshawn Vaughn, I think Chase Edmonds. But I think when you have Rashad White, he heavily involved in the 2 minute drills. He's going to probably take a lot of that number one guy looks. Chase Edmonds has bounced around the league. He's had some spikes here and there, but Rashad White was drafted last year. They like this guy. Like I said, Tampa ranked dead last in rush attempts per league. You have to run the ball in this league in order to survive. Whether that's to open up the deep shots, open up quick slants, whatever it is, you have to be able to run the ball. And so I think that's going to be the OC's first thing of order moving in. And Tampa also didn't draft another running back in this year's draft. So who they got is who they got. And I think they believe in Rashad White. Um, I also believe in him a little bit more because I believe he's going to get volume more than guys that are going before him. For instance, like DeAndre Swift, who's currently in a running back by committee. There's a lot of running backs to feed there. Eagles have proven they like to use multiple backs a game. Pacheco, the Chiefs love to utilize everyone. If you're a fourth string receiver, be ready to catch a tutty. So Pacheco, although he runs hard and he gets a lot of love there because his yards per run or yards per rush is extremely good. He runs hard. He's a great talent. This doesn't move Rashad many spots for me, but I think the value of where you're drafting him and the guys he's next to, I think if we focus on volume, he's extremely undervalued. And I think he can move up a spot or two. But I think where he's currently at, you're going to find the best value for him.
Nice. 245 about. Next up, we have Mr. Tua Tagovailoa. His current ADP on Underdog, he's going at around QB 11, and I have him at QB 9, about 16 spots in total ADP higher. For me, he has the highest upside of any QB outside of the top 10. He was QB 6 last year through week 11 in points per game before his major head injury. With these middle of the road QBs, when I'm drafting personally, I want to draft guys with a ton of upside. Guys like obviously Tua, which we're talking about here, Anthony Richardson, even Aaron Rodgers, where he's going, not as much as the other two, but based on where he's going, I would still like to take him. I'm not looking for guys like Jared Goff or Daniel Jones, who, in my opinion, have no shot at finishing as a top 5 QB for fantasy, no matter how well they do this year. For me, Tua, the only concern is his health, but the reports are he's healthy right now. He looks good. He's put on muscle. He looks stronger, and he has two of the most talented wide receivers in the NFL. Top 10 weapons that he just puts the ball in their lap and they can take it at any time. I really do see that pathway for Tua to at least be a top 10 QB, but even a possibility to finish top 5 with the weapons that he has. If I don't grab any of these top guys, Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, Burrow, I'm targeting Tua in a lot of drafts. I'm very happy to take high upside risk again on these late round QBs because even if at worst case, let's say the worst happens, he sustains injuries, he's out for the year, whatever. I'm okay playing the waiver wire on week to week matchups. For QBs down there, Goff, Carr, Love, Stafford, Pickett, all these guys that will go undrafted in your leagues. I'm happy to play the waiver wire with them and see where it goes. I did this last year with Trey Lance. He got injured, and I ended the season with Justin Fields as my QB. So I really do love Tua for where he's going this year.
And for my third undervalued pick, I got Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Deontay Johnson. A couple things about the Steelers last year. Obviously, they can't get any worse, or at least one would hope. The offensive line was really bad. You did have a rookie quarterback. You expect those types of struggles from a pocket passer. Usually, historically, rushing quarterbacks, they do better their rookie year. Um, and sometimes they even had Trubisky in the game, like Mitchell Trubisky. Like, Those you have rookie quarterback struggles and Pickett, and then you have Trubisky coming in to save the game. So obviously, they had a lot of struggles, and it's hard to feed a receiver room that like the talents of Pickens and Deontay Johnson when you're having struggles as an offense altogether. Deontay Johnson ranked outside the top 40 last year with 0 touchdowns. With even the slightest bit of help, maybe having a few more catchable balls, a few more receptions, and maybe just a touchdown or two, he would have been salvaged a bad year and been top 30 easy. He ranked 6th in targets, 147 on the year, putting him next to guys like CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Amon Ra, AJ Brown. So we love that volume. He was top 20 in red zone targets. Obviously, we didn't convert, but being top 20 amongst the league in targets in the red zone, that's a huge plus for me. And with a bolstered up O line, they drafted some O line help. Guys like Najee, defenses are going to have some plenty of things to worry about with Pickens, Deontay, even Pat Fryermuth. We should be seeing a lot of Deontay Johnson this year with Pickett's first year under his belt. And I think he's undervalued. His current ADP of receiver 35 amongst underdog and going 69th overall in the draft. I would draft without hesitation Deontay Johnson over the likes of guys like Michael Pittman, JSN, Tyler Lockett, Mike Evans.
My final undervalued player for this year is going to be Chris Godwin. His current ADP on Underdog, he's going as wide receiver 28. He's still only 27 years old. In 2021, before he sustained his ACL injury, he finished as wide receiver 15. He's just a great player, and you look at his stats and his numbers, and it all proves that. The only question right now is, team situation, QB situation, but I really think he can survive through that and put up solid numbers. He really should be a top 20 wide receiver this year at minimum, and I would say he has top 15 upside, if Baker or Trask prove to be serviceable. He's another year removed from the ACL injury. I had a lot of Chris Godwin last year just based on where he was going. I saw the upside. He didn't have a great year. I watched almost all their games. He was not 100% whatsoever. The Bucs struggled as a whole offensively, and yet he still had 100 catches and finished as wide receiver 20 in points per game. Not to mention he only had 3 touchdowns. If he gets 4 more touchdowns in the year, he finishes as a top 15 easily with all the negatives that surrounded the Bucs last year. Again, the contrarian for him is the QB situation, but a little small point to that. If the QB is Baker, I feel like he can support that slot type possession receiver more than like he would a Mike Evans type of player. I look back at when Baker was in Cleveland, he really put up solid numbers for Landry more so than OBJ. He's better at getting the ball to those possession type receivers, guys who are going to move the chains. So I really see Chris Godwin as a great value play for where he's going as wide receiver 28. Thank you guys so much for watching the video of 6 undervalued players for Fantasy Football 2023. Hope you guys enjoyed, and leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time. Peace.